Peaceful Midwinter wishes, friends. This is a sponsored video with a special request. If you have any special intentions for your practice, please be in touch. Find me through the website, email, text, phone call. They all work. Pull up a mat, maybe a couple of blocks. If you don't have blocks, no worries. You might like to have a couple of large books nearby. I'm near the wall. We'll be doing a bit of balancing. Sometimes the wall can be helpful. If not, no worries. Come to stand in a comfortable stance for you. That could be hips width. It could be a little wider. It could be everything coming together in the middle. I'm on a rug, so I'm going to give myself a little more space to work with. Arms could reach forward and up or out and up. Fingers interlace, of course, at the top, and then we'll bend at the elbows. You don't have to turn, I'll turn. I'm tilting my chin a bit. My hands are coming behind the head, but my palms are facing the ceiling and my tailbone is scooped. Finding our breathing. Awakening front body and back body. Releasing the shoulders. Arms extend as you're ready, hands release. And once again, arms can reach forward and up or out and up. Hasta Vinyasa is how my classical teacher will warm us up. Fingers interlace, palms to sky. Hands move behind you to find your elbows, almost your elbows, or perhaps the back salute, the Prastanjali, palm to palm, meeting behind the heart center. Finding our breathing, checking in with the four corners of your feet, checking in with your tailbone. Inviting Ujjayi breath if you wish, the sound of the serpent being the translation. Some refer to it as victory breath. Some refer to it as ocean breath. Finding your breathing. Taking your Prastanjali to one side while the feet stay grounded, gazing to the side or starting to gaze behind you a bit. Coming center, taking it through to the other side. Again, you could be holding on to your elbows, almost your elbows, palm to palm behind the heart. Coming center, releasing. One more Hasta Vinyasa for now. Fingers reaching out and up or forward and up. Palms press up to the ceiling, coming over to one side while the feet stay grounded, maybe gazing to the side, maybe gazing behind you, perhaps bringing that twist to the space near your leg, near your foot, maybe pressing into a block, maybe releasing your nose toward your knee. Finding your breathing. Pressing into four corners of feet, coming on up and taking it to the other side. Maybe gazing up, maybe gazing behind you and bowing over that second side. Nose making its way towards your knee. If you'd like, you could press into a block or your book. Your hands could simply be wherever they end up, maybe finding the floor. Pressing into four corners of feet, lifting up the second side, coming center, releasing. Taking it through Surya Namaskar, Sun Salutation. Arms reaching forward and up or out and up. Your shoulders get to decide or choose. They both work. Palms to the ceiling. And then we'll lift the heels. Finding your gaze, your drishti, towards something that doesn't move to help find balance, especially if you're on a rug like me, and then releasing to your half squat, your Ardha Utkatasana. Let's do a bit of that downhill skiing for a moment. And then as you press into the feet, we'll keep the knees bent. Find your goddess-like arms and perhaps turn from one side back through center to the other. If you'd like, we'll add the sounds D, D-H-I, ri, R-I, ha, H-A. And when you do the ha, your belly muscles might get a little more involved. D, ri, ha, D, ri, ha, D, ri, ha. Coming center, empowering sounds, fingertips to your blocks or your toe tips, finding your Uttanasana, your forward fold, lifting head and heart a bit, and one foot steps back to find what some of us call runner's lunge. You could always place the back knee down, you don't have to. Remember, this is a video with a special intention, so there are all kinds of ways to approach our practice. This is for someone who's been working on their practice quite a bit, so I won't offer as many options. Finding your high plank, moving on your tippy toes from the top of the mat to the back. And next time you move forward, we'll come on down to the mat and find our way to Sphinx pose. Releasing the chin towards your throat, sometimes referred to as the chin lock, releasing head and heart toward the mat, and then coming up through the shoulders. We'll do that a couple more times. Finding your breathing. And then we'll find our way to what I like to call my popcorn movie watching pose. My knees are bent, my ankles are crossed, and the base of my palms pretty much is holding my jawline. Finding our breathing. Releasing the legs to extend them, releasing the palms to stack them. You could rest one side of your head, your forehead. You could bend the knees again if you like, and let your feet sway side to side. It might feel better to keep your head centered. You'll see what your neck might be requesting. Returning center, bringing the palms near the shoulders, maybe tucking the toes under. And as you press down, lifting up to your plank and then up and back to your down dog. And you know, we can walk out the dog, as we like to say. You can pedal the feet, you can bend the knees, or you don't have to. You could release your heels toward the mat. You could release your hips toward the wall behind you, while the four corners of the palms now are grounding. And then I'll step my right foot in toward my left just a smidge, and then lift the other foot up so that I'm in a three-legged dog for a moment. I have my heel pressing toward the wall behind me. Then I'll lift my tippy toes up and bend that top knee. You could circle and round your ankle a bit in one direction and then in the other. And then you could do the same with your knee. You could circle your knee in one direction and then in the other. And we'll pull that knee underneath, round the spine a bit as the elbows maybe even pull in a bit, and stepping forward to the lunge. Finding our breathing, and then pressing off of the back tippy toes to find your way to a half fold, Ardha Uttanasana, followed by the full. coming up to your mountain pose, Tadasana. And while we're here in this Tadasana, let's take the beginning of our tree pose. So you might lift your knee and bring it out to the side. You might guide your foot. Of course, you know you have options. For this practice, we're placing the heel pretty close to the top of the inner edge of the leg there. Finding our breathing. Finding our balance. The wall is here for me. My blankets are here. You could keep your palms together. We each may be finding balance in different ways. You could grow your branches. You could take the Kali Mudra above the head, fingers interlace, forefingers point, thumb stack. And then releasing down, let's give the other side that same attention. You could lift the knee, bring the knee out to the side and place the foot with or without your hand, finding the whole base of the foot to the inside edge of the leg if possible. Finding your drishti. Finding a giggle with balance. Maybe finding those goddess arms. And coming back to center. Surya Namaskar, sun salutation, moving with our breathing. Fingers interlace, palms to sky, heels lift. Allowing the ball of the foot, that circular bony area underneath the big toe, to press down, allowing the big toe pad to press down. Wonderful pressure points in those areas. Half squat Ardha Utkatasana. Maybe coming up this time, you could find your goddess arms, you could find your hips, you could bring those hands behind you and maybe go for a few snowshoe walks. I think I would rather have my hands available while I'm snowshoeing. And then we'll take it down to the half fold, maybe the full fold, lifting the head as you're ready. The other foot steps back, finding your lunge, finding our breathing. Taking it to the high plank as you wish, maybe rolling onto the tippy toes and then pressing back a bit. The shoulders move forward as your tippy toes move forward, and then lowering it down. Hopefully you don't have blocks in the way like I do, and we'll find our cobra pose. Maybe checking in with where the second and third toe are compared to your heel. Giving your neck a nice release while you're at it. Giving the elbows a tiny bend, rolling the shoulders. If you're feeling tight, those feet might want to go wider. If you're feeling like hips width works, go for it. Sometimes we bring the feet together and taking it back. Child's pose this time. Maybe holding the heels with your hands, allowing the wrist to receive a nice release there. Let's come to sit on the heels before we move into our next asana position exercise. Fingers interlace, palms to sky, and if you like breath of fire, inhale, finding your breathing, exhale quite completely. Maybe inhale more than you think you can. And begin a soft pump of the navel center with a quick breath. The exhale is leaving the nostrils, the inhale is automatically happening. Releasing the hands, and we'll make our way to the down dog once again. Maybe a turbo dog this time with the knees bent, the heels lift, gazing to the thumbs, giving the elbows a teeny bend and a gentle pull in. Maybe the knees go even lower and we turn into a bear. Let's see if we can keep our hips somewhat still as we lift one hand and then the other, pressing into those feet, engaging the legs. Maybe one hand opposite foot, other hand opposite foot. Your bear walk. And then downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Lifting the left foot so it comes a little closer to right, and this time the other foot lifts up, finding your three-legged dog. Heel presses back toward the wall for a moment or two. Tippy toes reach up, knee bends. We'll circle the ankle in one direction and then in the other. We'll circle the knee to release the hip a bit. Reversing directions as you wish. Pulling the knee underneath, maybe rounding the spine as we step forward to the runner's lunge once again. Gazing forward, finding breathing. And pressing off the back foot to come all the way forward to the half fold, followed by the full, where you of course can press into your low legs. Your peace fingers could hook your big toes and work with the pressure points in the bottom of the big toe. We have the pressure point for the thyroid gland. And coming up to our mountain. So this time for the tree pose, we'll bring one foot up into what looks like half lotus. And in the classical sequencing of the tree pose postures, this is actually considered the tree pose, the vriksasana. The first pose that we did with the foot connected to the inner edge of the other leg is named after a sage, and the stories go that the great sages that would live more on their own, here I am balancing on the rug, would practice and meditate while they were breathing and holding these balancing postures. So you could keep this half lotus-like position. You could grab a belt or a towel or a tie and wrap that around your foot and hold that in place if that would work better for you. This other hand is going to eventually wrap around your low back and find your big toe. So this is where the belt might come in handy. And then this hand comes up. So this is what we call a bind. And I'm going to bring middle finger to thumb for my extended arm. Finding our breathing. And this is where the wall might come in handy as well. And then we'll see about a forward fold here. This is where blocks might come in handy if you want to place your book or your block under your hand. And now that heel that's in half lotus has a nice opportunity to apply a bit of pressure to the lower front torso area just next to the hip. My nose is making its way toward the knee. You could come into the next part with the bind. I'm going to undo the bind so my hand comes undone, and then I'll come into the full squat with my foot still in the half half lotus. So let me see if I can show you sideways. And eventually, we're going to let the bent knee with the foot on the ground come down. And eventually you might balance there. This is where I'm practicing right now. And so if you had cushions nearby, you might be able to figure out where to place the cushions to help you hold the position while you find your breathing. In this practice, the breath is often at least 3 breaths with each position. And then we could undo this leg, and eventually we're going to hold ourselves here while breathing with this extended leg. And then I'll come down. And let's shake out those legs for a moment and breathe before we do the other side. So find your seated staff pose. Find your breathing. Dandasana. And let's go ahead and add a forward fold here. So some of us might be pressing into fingertips. Some of us might be finding feet. Hands could come and reach over the toes. You could interlace fingers like we did in the beginning, and then the top of your hands might press into the bottom of your feet. Finding your breathing. Paschimottanasana. Full forward fold while you're seated. Maybe checking in with the ratio of your breath if you like to count your breathing. Checking in with the length of inhale. Checking in with the length of exhale. You could hook your big toes. Just to see where your breathing is. And if you want to start to work with your exhale becoming twice as long as your inhale, typically we say that is a good way to calm the human system. So if you're breathing in for a count of 1, you're breathing out for a count of 2. And then you're adding on 2 to 4, 3 to 6, 4 to 8. Fingers interlace, palms to sky, and so on. And we'll release those hands. Let's bring the hands about a foot behind us. You could bend the knees, you don't have to. I like my fingers pointing toward me. I'm pressing into my heels. If you bend the knees, you're pressing into the full foot, and we're lifting the seat to the sky, gazing perhaps to the ceiling or behind you while your toes reach forward. Releasing your seat, crossing the ankles, arms long, hands together, giving ourselves a mighty push, coming up to stand. Let's see what happens on the other side. So remembering, you can find the wall if that seems like a good idea for you. Bringing the other knee up. We started on the first round with the foot moving to inner edge of the leg. This time we're going to see about, let me grab my blocks so they're closer this time, the half lotus position in our stance. So 4 corners of grounded foot doing their good work. Half lotus position, maybe a belt, anything you come up with at home, a wrapped up towel, tie. And then the other hand will wrap around the back. So we're going for the bind. My peace fingers, this is my shoulder that needs to release more. So I'll encourage that. Maybe your peace fingers will wrap around your big toe after this arm wraps around the there it is. And then this arm, middle finger to thumb, patience, courage, determination. Hand rises up. Finding our breathing. Now, as we descend, one of the points in classical yoga has to do with the bandhas, the locks. So we have a bind here, and then perhaps, let me do the forward fold first. We'll forward fold. Maybe you'll find whichever prop you have around, maybe not, maybe you're moving toward the earth. Woo. Finding our breathing. All right, so for this part, before we descend, perhaps you'll consider engaging the root lock. So it's as if you're stuck in traffic, we need the restroom, there's no restroom to be found, and these are the muscles we engage as we come down. I think I want my block for this. 2, I'm going to undo my bind, the squat, yes. And then we find our breathing. And I still have my foot in that half lotus position. My back heel is up off of the floor. So this is a practice. And typically, as I practice, things start to make more sense. But it takes a little while for me. It might not for you. We'll see. Sometimes the body has to remember how to get there. So I'll move to the side. And again, this is where if you have some cushions around, maybe you'll have a cushion under your heel, maybe you'll have a cushion under this knee, or the block could go there. And I'll practice releasing this back heel to the floor. But my hands are holding me up. So we'll see what happens eventually, right? A few days, a few weeks, who knows what might happen within a month, right? And then eventually this leg will come undone and we'll hold ourselves in this kind of well, it's not a half leg anymore. One-legged, where is it? Half squat. And then we'll come on down and undo those legs again. And maybe round those wrists after they held you up for a bit. And reverse the rounding. And let's go ahead and bring our feet to the top of the mat. And have anything nearby that you might like for a bit of rest. You might be feeling pretty warm after those postures. They tend to heat us up. So believe it or not, there is much more to that sequence of postures. And to practice it fully, we might need 1.5 hours to 2 hours. But we'll start somewhere, right? And so let's go ahead and allow the spine to round as if we could allow each vertebra, one by one, to find their way to the floor. And maybe keep the knees bent for a bit with the feet grounded, and we'll find our breathing. Where is that breathing? Is it in your belly? Is it in your rib cage? Is it in your heart center? And let's go ahead and take one of the blocks, or if you don't mind, a book, or whichever you have around. And as we press into feet, we'll lift the hips and create a little shelf there for the hips, as someone who used to practice with me would say long ago. And we'll extend the legs. Some call this waterfall pose. This is a nice way to have a shoulder stand supported. So good for the thyroid gland, good for our circulatory system. Of course, you could do this at the wall, or if I wanted to turn to the side, I could even put my legs up the bench here. And when you feel complete, we'll bring the feet back down. You could stay in this supported yoga bridge pose. Sometimes it's a really nice reset for the whole pelvic girdle area. You could extend one leg if you'd like, keeping the other knee bent or not. You could extend both legs or do one at a time. Pressing into feet, lifting the hips. You might give that tailbone a little scoop as you lift, releasing, removing the block, and then allowing the spine to roll down in slow motion towards your tail. You might take the knees together for a moment, or not. They might prefer some space. Arms can release out to the side, perhaps a bit of windshield wiper. If the windshield wiper doesn't feel right for you, instead bring the feet and knees together and release just to one side rather than the back and forth. Sometimes we prefer stillness, sometimes we prefer movement. And then as you bring the feet and knees center, let's give one knee a good hug, placing that ankle above the knee. This may be just right for you, or you might lift that foot in front of you. And let's release the arms again and bring the legs as they are in that kind of four square or reclined supine pigeon to one side. And then lifting up, and we'll bring the legs just as they are to the other side. So I let my foot come down if possible. And this might be a place where you like to place cushions underneath as well. And then coming back center, let's switch legs. So other foot down, other foot up above the knee. You might like to stay just right there. You might lift the legs, and then we'll bring that setup over to one side, releasing that bottom foot if possible. And then coming center, taking it to the other side. Coming center, giving those knees a great big hug. Maybe holding elbows, almost elbows, nose toward the knees. Release the grip a bit. Let your head rest. Two more. Big squeeze in. Release. And one more. Releasing. Finding your breathing. If you would like to take a longer Shavasana, please do so. And as it makes sense for you, and it may not just yet, we'll find our way to a seat, cross-legged, half lotus, full lotus, as you wish. Maybe hands resting open. Receiving the graces of your practice. your mind, your body, your breathing, your spirit, or however you refer to that part of you, each benefiting from this beautiful practice. If you'd like a bit of alternate nostril breathing, index, middle, bow down. Traditional ring, pinky stay out, thumb closes, matching nostril, breathing out the other side. And then in when you're ready. Closing with ring and pinky, breathing out the first side. In when you're ready. Closing, maybe pausing, releasing, breathing in. Closing, maybe pausing, breathing out. One more round. Next time you exhale right, bringing hands to heart-centered mudra, the Anjali mudra, a brain balancing gesture, alternate nostril breath as a brain balancing breath. Thank you for sharing this midwinter time with me. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace. May we tap into the peace in our hearts to guide us, especially when it doesn't feel peaceful around us. Be well, friends. Be in touch as you wish. Take good care. Satnam. Namaste.